A battery-powered tribble is the weirdest one. For a switch inside its belly, I can make the tribble either purr or shriek, expressing my own repressed feelings in the workplace. I like to believe that the canvas of emotion I experience is more complex than the two moods the tribble conveys: contentment or agitation. However, I admit that in the office, my temperament devolves, mirroring the bilateral pendulum of a furry, non-intelligent life form. For example, I purred violently when the state budget provided for my first salary increase in 5 years. My extra $22 per paycheck funded the copay for my overdue pap smear in April, half an oil change in May, and one small cup of Dippin' Dots at Turner Field in June. In true bipolar fashion, I shriek when not purring like a tribble at work, particularly during interactions with unsavory colleagues. The best example I can think of is my former coworker, Carissa, who publicly bullied me when I unintentionally lost 20 pounds after my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness. I also was engaged at the time. "You are so skinny," Carissa screeched while destroying her daily mound of Popeye's chicken tenders. "We don't need an anorexic bride," I answered. Then I muttered, "Oh, Uncle Charles, y'all." Which translates from Tribblese to, "Yeah, I just found out my dad has Alzheimer's and I'm a little depressed and devastated. Okay, bitch?" My tribble doesn't spit, blubber, or recite fragments of the lyrics from Crossroads. That model cost significantly more. I saw one at the Star Trek Bone Thugs and Harmony Memorabilia General Store in Sevierville, Tennessee. Like I said, a coworker gave me the tribble. My 50-year-old colleague, Gary, presented it as a peace offering after intruding on the walks I took every day during lunch. I always passed him on my route while he slumped against the building reading a science fiction paperback, a limp cigarette hanging from his mouth. One day he glanced up from a ragged copy of Dune and implored me to help him get back in shape. His wife had locked him out of their hotel room at Dragon Con while fooling around with a man dressed as Captain Kirk. She abandoned Gary and their 2 sons, running away with Captain Kirk to Lake City, Florida. Over the following months, Gary lost at least 30 pounds and became skinny fat, subsisting on Lifesaver, shredded Kroger brand cheese, and his own hangnails. So when Gary asked me to assist with his cardiovascular conditioning, how could I say no? While we traipsed around Centennial Olympic Park and the surrounding streets, Gary delivered monologues about the woman who broke off their engagement in college, his thoughts on the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and anything else that didn't require him to take a deep breath and allow me a second to speak. Although I had gained a walking partner, I felt more alone than ever. One afternoon out of nowhere, Gary turned to me at a stoplight and said, "You know, Bobbin, my favorite thing to do to a woman is cunnilingus." "I don't want to go for walks with you anymore," I said. The following morning, Gary brought me the tribble. "I want you to have this," he sighed, handing me what he considered an apology, a truce, an olive branch of sorts. 6 years later, the tribble still sits on my desk, even though Gary eventually got laid off. When my coworkers bring their children to the office, I win them over with the tribble. The tribble aids me in ingratiating myself with older colleagues, too, perhaps because it reminds them of younger years and simpler times. I jiggle the tribble and watch tenured professors and world-renowned researchers laugh while it purrs, as though to say, for whatever pain you're going through and have to block out at this soulless place, I am sorry. And I've choreographed a tap dance to a funk version of the Star Trek theme song.
Yeah!
And I guess the nice thing would be to dedicate it to Jerry. May he live long and prosper.